Hello, and welcome to our build guide for a very powerful dual-wielding Slayer utilizing the new Transfigured gem. The dual strike of Ambidexterity combines the damage of each weapon into one strike. The Transfigured version requires you to wield two different weapon types in each hand but rewards you with a significant damage boost, and uses the attack speed only of your off-hand weapon. The main idea here is to combine a very slow but hard-hitting weapon with an off-hand with the fastest attack speed possible. There are two unique weapons that offer exactly those properties, the Paradoxica and the Brightbeak. With this combo, you will always deal double damage at a very fast rate. To boost your damage, this build uses the Impale, which is a special mechanic associated with physical attacks. It stores a portion of your hits to deal it again with your next hit, up to a limit. It can double your total damage output, and the ramp-up is barely noticeable with such fast attack speed. The Slayer Ascendancy offers further improvements at fighting the toughest of enemies. You will deal more damage against bosses and cull them at 20% of their maximum life, which is usually around the hardest part of the fight. Additional endurance charges and excellent life recovery are also very helpful. This skill scales damage very well but unfortunately has no secondary mechanics that would make it stand out more. The double damage from your sword works very well with sources of added damage, but you should prioritize critical strikes more. You will have decent amount of maximum life, high armor and evasion rating, plenty of spell suppression chance, excellent life recovery, and fast movement. However, wearing the Abyssus helmet will make you more susceptible to physical damage at any level of investment. The movement with Leap Slam is very good, but area coverage is mediocre at best, as it is a melee build after all. The build excels at single target damage, making it a very potent boss killer. For good performance against bosses, we recommend at least 30 Divine Orbs to start playing with this build, but if you aim for the non-aspirational content it will be much cheaper. There are no build-enabling uniques used here, but some of them drastically improve your damage. The Abyssus is the most impactful one, but it also harms your survivability a lot. The Paradoxica has many variations, but you don't need the ideal right from the start. Even the worst rolled Paradoxica will be better than any weapon in its price range. Ideally, it should have veiled modifiers that increase its physical damage, improve your chance to impale enemies, and have a higher critical strike chance. The attack speed doesn't impact your DPS, as you will use the attack speed of your offhand instead. The Brightbeak is a very fast weapon that deals a minuscule amount of damage. You can corrupt it to gain even more attack speed or get fortification on hit. It can be outperformed by a rare weapon, but it will be very expensive and you would lose the corrupted implicits, so it is rarely worth it. Abyssus is an iconic helmet that greatly improves your damage, but also makes you more vulnerable against physical damage, including dots like bleeding. At a higher budget, your damage will be good enough to stop using this helmet, allowing you to replace it with a rare helmet focused on defense. Those boots grant you the benefits of all charges at all times. They are used purely for convenience. You can generate your charges via Assassin's Mark, Sword Mastery, and Endurance Cry or certain notable on Cluster Jewel. The Ryslath's coil greatly improves your DPS by manipulating the damage range. It also adds plenty of maximum life and flat physical damage. The base implicit of this belt is useless. Try to override it with useful corruption, but remember about correct rolls on the minimum and maximum damage. This amulet allows you to use one aura completely for free, which you can link with the Arrogance support to get a 24% increased aura effect. It can be used to remove the necessity of the mana reservation investments or add one extra aura to your setup. The Pride-specific modifier allows you to inflict more impale stacks on your enemies. You can also look for useful modifiers from the Precision or Determination aura, but impale is your priority. The Master of Metal notable from the Champion Ascendancy is very powerful for any build that relies on impale. It will also add plenty of physical damage to your attacks, which gets doubled by your sword. The Quick and Deadly notable is roughly 3 times more effective than any other notable, but it can only appear on large cluster jewels. This unique medium jewel can have 3 notables of any jewel type. Pair it with at least one synergistic notable to make it worth it. This jewel adds very potent bonuses to nearby notables. You should seek physical damage mitigation, critical strike chance and multiplier for melee attacks, or maximum life. Since you already always deal double damage, it shouldn't be too expensive to find a good one. To boost your damage you should look for a critical strike multiplier, added physical damage, and attack speed. Defensively you should look for high maximum life and spell suppression chance. You will need plenty of intelligence on your gear to use all your skill gems. A rare helmet can be used to greatly boost your defense, but it provides very little towards your DPS. It can grant you a lot of maximum life, spell suppression, mana reservation efficiency, and resistance. It can also shift some of the physical damage to be taken as elemental. If you use rare boots you should aim for high maximum life, spell suppression, resistances, elemental avoidances, and action speed. It will certainly be stronger than Ralakesh's Impatience but requires more effort to generate charges. Movement speed is optional, as you will travel using the leap slam most of the time. Here you should aim for maximum life, spell suppression, resistance, attack speed, and accuracy rating. The Eldritch Implicit can improve your clear speed via additional strike targets or improve your damage via rage generation. Use an influenced body armor that improves your critical strike chance with attacks. It can also grant you additional curse, but you should prioritize a high amount of spell suppression first. Top it up with some resistance or physical damage reduction. You can get a lot of flat physical damage and critical strike multiplier from your amulet, which you can easily craft using the Essence of Scorn or Contempt on a fractured base. It should also provide you with some maximum life and resistances. Try to get an empty prefix so you can add the mana cost reduction via crafting bench. On your rings you should look for exactly the same modifiers as your amulet, although the rolls will be slightly lower. The amethyst ring is the best defensive base, but you can opt for steel or diamond ring if you want more damage. Use a rare jewel to improve your maximum life, attack speed, and critical strike multiplier. Other than that, you can use them to fix your resistance or attributes. It is possible to get a bit of mana reservation efficiency, but it can be quite expensive if you want to mix it with other useful modifiers. As mentioned before, the quick and deadly notable is your main focus here. The Feed the Fury is also very strong, as your leech will last even when you fill up your life. The last notable is less impactful, although martial prowess is the best choice due to the accuracy rating it provides. The Bottled Faith is a very strong offensive flask that improves your critical strike chance and damage against enemies standing on the consecrated ground. It creates a large consecrated ground upon use, so your positioning is vital to get full benefits. For your remaining magic flasks we recommend using Diamond Flask with attack speed bonus, Granite Flask with armor rating bonus, Jade Flask with evasion rating bonus, and a Life Flask with bleeding removal. Your main source of damage comes from this skill. It strikes your target with both weapons, combining their damage into one hit. It boosts the damage of your main hand weapon while using the attack speed of the other. If you lack the critical strike chance, consider swapping one gem to increased critical strike support instead. The Awakened Ancestral Call is also very useful for boosting your clear speed. It adds 3 strike targets and increases their range. Pride is a very powerful aura that affects your enemies instead of you. It increases the physical damage they take. The effect starts low and increases over time. Flesh and Stone allows you to change your stance and grants defensive or offensive bonuses depending on the stance you are in. The blind effect on your enemies can also improve your damage if you lack an accuracy rating. Determination is your main defensive aura that adds and improves your armor rating significantly. Dread Banner greatly improves your impale effectiveness, and lowers the accuracy rating of nearby enemies, making you more likely to evade even without the Grace aura. Precision Aura improves your accuracy rating and critical strike chance. If you lack mana to reserve, consider using it with the Arrogant support. You should link your 3 most mana reserving auras with the Enlightened support. It will greatly reduce their reservation cost. Assassin's Mark greatly improves your critical strike chance and multiplier against enemies affected by this spell. It will also generate power charges for you if you need them. The mark on hit support will automatically apply the linked mark to any rare or unique enemy you hit with your attacks. You still need to pay the mana cost, so the life tap support may be necessary to include. The leap slam performs a quick jump toward the targeted location. It also stuns enemies on full life, making it safer to engage. The faster attack support makes it significantly faster to perform. You might also need to use the life tap support here if you don't have rare jewelry with mana cost reduction. Ancestral Protector summons a melee totem that attacks nearby enemies. It greatly improves your attack speed while it's active. The Ancestral Warchief summons a similar totem that significantly boosts your melee damage. The Vol version grants an even stronger buff. By default, using both totems at once is impossible due to the maximum totem limit, but you can raise that limit by linking one of them to the multiple totem support. The dash is your secondary travel skill. As the name suggests, it performs a quick dash that allows you to quickly dodge incoming attacks and travel a bit faster. Molten Shell creates a protective barrier that increases your armor rating and absorbs part of the incoming damage. You can also use the Vol version for a stronger barrier. If you have a source of additional curse, you can use the vulnerability to make your enemies take more physical damage. You can automate it via a curse on hit modifier, but it will have only half of the effectiveness of a fully leveled curse. Blood Rage is a buff that applies a physical damage over time effect to you, but increases your attack speed and generates frenzy charges. Killing all bandits for 2 additional passive points is the best option, but you can help the Alira for easier gearing during early game progression. You should refund that choice later. For your major Pantheon power, you should choose the Soul of the Brine King for easy immunity to freeze and reduction of chill and shocks on you. It also prevents deadly stunlocks. The minor Pantheon power is more flexible, but for general purposes, the Soul of Shikari is the best option, as you will usually have a low amount of chaos resistance. The leveling experience is quite usual. You can start using the dual strike of Ambidexterity right from the start, but at that point, you won't have access to the powerful interactions that make it shine, so you can pick any other skill. The most popular choice to power level through the campaign is the Splitting Steel with a 2-handed axe due to good base damage and abundance of useful notables on the passive tree. You can find more leveling tips in our written guide on the website. Your final passive tree focuses on physical damage, dual-wielding weapons, critical strikes, maximum life, spell suppression, and mana reservation efficiency. You will also pick up 2 additional frenzy charges that improve your damage and attack speed. Thanks to your ascendancy, it will also raise the limit of your endurance charges, granting you more physical damage reduction and a bit of elemental resistance. Depending on your gear, you can make small adjustments to include frenzy charge generation against marked enemies, enable fortification with any hit, or get an increased critical strike chance with swords. If you are playing in the Affliction League, choose the Primalist Ascendancy to get more critical strike chance, spell suppression, or other useful bonuses from your charms. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or want us to cover certain build, please let us know in the comments. We encourage you to leave a like or subscribe to the channel. Have a good day, and see you next time.